All right, so I started recording. Let me know if you guys can see my mouse moving as well on my screen. So I want to thank everybody for who are coming tonight. Obviously, I'm going to cover as much as I can in the amount of time that I have, answer a lot of questions, give you a little bit of strategy stuff because a lot of you guys had questions about scanning. I'm not going to really answer any specific coin questions because there's just too many and too many questions, and I'm just not going to go into that. It's like asking me about a stock. I'm not going to answer that question. First and foremost, I want to put the little disclaimer out there that everything in the webinar is not investment advice, and it's for educational and entertainment purposes only. Now that I got that out of the way, one of the first and kind of simplest questions as far as that I got the most is where do I scan for this stuff? And I think that's one of the biggest things that people want to know. The place that I've been using for the last about year and a half is just CoinMarketCap.com. I know that they were doing a little weird thing by changing how they formulated the prices, and it kind of panicked some people out. I think it was this couple last days. But that's what I use to kind of view everything. The information they have in there is pretty much the place to go to that I would look for anything. So some of the scanning steps that I do. Number one, I always kind of want to see, just as curiosity, what's moving throughout the day. I'm sure everybody does that. Change to 24 hours, see what's moving the most. And it's not so much for me as to, okay, cool, it's moving. I want to know the reasons behind the moves. Is there any forward-looking events? Is there something that's coming up for any of these specific coins that may make these prices actually go up? Or if there's something that's so random that is there something on Twitter that's being pumped? Anything like that. But to find some of these other things, I click the view all button. And that's going to pull up every single one. So there's like 1,500, 1,600. I feel like there's some being added every day. When I'm pretty active, I'll just click on the 1 hour chart or the 1 hour tab, whatever you want to call it. And I'll take a look at what is moving. And what I look for specifically is I look for anything that's got at least $500,000 in volume in the last hour. Last 24 hours, and then base it off of that move. So like something like XDN, I'll want to take a look at this, see, where's the price range at, what it is, what's the actual coin, what does it do, where is it listed, can I even trade it, so like Bittrex has got most of the volume. There's an outlier right now on BTC for $10 million. Very strange. And this is something that they've added recently where they exclude volume because they've detected an outlier in air quotes. So it's very interesting to me as far as, is it something that I would chase up at this price? Is it something that I would actually trade, or is it something, okay, whatever, maybe it's just something that's happening. So that's kind of one of the things that I do. I look for things very specific as far as what the chart looks like, because I think one of my big skills as far as OTC trading, and I had this discussion kind of with somebody last night, that I kind of view it as the bigger money markets are, the NYSE, then it goes to like NASDAQ, then it goes OTC markets. Now we have this new coin market. So, volume and price action are a huge thing for me. So I try to look for the exact same thing as I would on an OTC. So for instance, the one that I was looking at today, and I'll just use this as an example, was Vibe. Obviously, it's the biggest mover today, caught my attention. But I wanted to see what happened. Why did this do this? What was the price action before that move? And was there anything very kind of like suspicious or odd? So the big move happened from them being listed on Binance. So they were listed, I think it was yesterday. And it immediately sent it from whatever it was, 48 cents to $2.50, I think it was, $2.40. It's a pretty odd move because when they get listed on a new exchange, you're going to see essentially if somebody has a lot, so if I was to own, several $1,000,000 worth of this coin, and I'm like, I know it's going to get listed, whatever. You can very kind of easily detect if somebody either just wants to bid profit and sell into everybody for the next 3 days. And be aware of that because I'm sure it is happening out there, especially with a lot of these newly listed things, these new exchanges. All they have to do is, hit a couple bids at $2, and now it's going to be listed there. Everybody's going to mentally know, oh, well, the price is $2. I got to buy it at $2 if I want to trade this. Whereas, somebody who may own it from a specific price at like 15 cents knew that it was maybe going to be listed on there, whatever the case may be, and now they're unloading at a substantial gain on you. So kind of be aware of that. With a lot of the new exchanges and people being locked out from exchanges, I try to look for weird, very odd things that are happening, and take advantage of those, because if there's an opportunity to make the money, I'm still going to take it. So with that, I'll kind of keep going on that. If I don't find anything on the 1 hour, I'll look at the 24-hour, because it's going to give me a little bit better of a picture, what's happened in the last day, what's moving as far as is a constant volume, is it on an exchange that I could even consider trading. And before I even actually trade these, I want to know what this thing is. So the example that I'm going to use was, because it was just a familiar area to me, was this breakout coin. I didn't know what it was. I just found it randomly at like 68 cents the other day. And there are very specific things that I look for as far as if I'm going to buy something, number one, and if I'm going to hold on to it, number two. So I took a look at this. I took a look at the website. I made a video of it. You guys can watch it, whatever. I just try to find weird stuff that you guys might be interested in to see. So find this, and I see that the market cap was like $6 million for something that actually had a working product that was actually making money currently. That's very interesting to me. I knew the field. I know online poker pretty well. I used to play it. I think a lot of us did. And it was just something that caught my eye. Okay, this thing works. Its value is not in the billions of dollars like most of these things with just white papers are. So it's one of those things that really catches my eye. So that's kind of like the process that I do for scanning on a daily basis. I go to the view wall. Is it on an exchange that, am I lucky enough to have the exchange, number one? Because, one of the biggest ones, Bittrex, I think is still closed currently as of, January 10th, which is this webinar. And a lot of those things are moving on there, and nobody can touch them because they only have access to, Binance. They only have access to, I think that one of the newer ones is KuCoin, which, my opinion of both of these is that if you want to trade these, it's a necessary evil. I'm not, endorsing them in any way, shape, or form, because who knows what they are. I've seen a video of the CEO of Binance, which, okay, that's fine. But, just kind of be aware that you don't want to hold a whole lot of these assets on exchanges, because if you're brand new to this, you should read up about some history about some of the exchanges where people basically lost everything and they're still waiting for it. Mt. Gox, all that stuff. So know your history, because if you don't learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So don't keep a lot of the assets stored on here. If you find things that you like that are very specific, download the actual wallet. Get a hardware wallet, which is kind of the next little simple thing that I'm going to talk about. If you don't have one, I would suggest getting one. You can get them on Amazon. Do not get them from a secondhand person, because it's very easy for them to hack the private keys and then send it out to you. So get a brand new one, either from the company or from the authorized Amazon dealer that's on Trezor. This one only holds, I think, some of the major protocols. When I say protocols, not tokens. I'll discuss that really quickly as well, what the difference is between the two. And then also the Ledger wallet, which holds basically a lot of the main ones, plus some of the other ones as far as Neo. So the Trezor holds, I think, these top main ones, not even Bitcoin Gold, but maybe it does. And the Ledger holds a little bit more. So they're safety nets as far as if your stuff gets hacked on an exchange, which hopefully that never happens. Some of the questions that I got, the most ones were, how do you know when altcoins are going to go down based off of, specific market action? So I've watched and I follow people that have been doing this longer than me. I'm not talking to you claiming to know everything. I'm talking to you because I get asked 1,000 questions a day and I just want to help people out. So whenever it tends to look like whenever Bitcoin starts to either gear up and then actually start to move, a lot of the altcoins get shredded very quickly, 20, 30% on some of these within an hour. So I've watched some of them go, 20, 30%. I wake up and all of a sudden, 30% of my money's gone. And one of the biggest things that I kind of realized was it's painful to watch. And I did it once where I was, oh my God, everything's going down. I need to sell it. But then I kind of realized, let's give it a minute, see what happens, either trade the washouts if there's anything that I'm not in, and just pay attention to the overall Bitcoin chart to see where it's at. Does it look like it's about to break out versus, what it's been doing for the last 3, 4, 5 days? And just be aware of where it's at and what you're invested in as far as like trading in coins and all that, because you can very easily move, if you only have a couple positions, sell them out, go to Bitcoin, and then you actually can make money off the Bitcoin. Or there's a few scenarios where everything is going down. So if Bitcoin is going down, Ethereum is going down, all your coins are going down. You need to be a little bit quick on the trigger to sell it into Bitcoin and then sell it into US dollar tethered, which I'm not a fan of, but it's a necessary evil in order to trade this stuff because it's not actually US dollars. And, feel free to look into that as well. But that kind of keeps you at a cash position per se. One of the risks is if you're one of the last people to sell out, like in a panic scenario into tethers, you may find that you're actually paying a premium for it. Because if everybody's rushing into one thing, and the supply isn't there, it's literally going to push up the price of tethers. That's why they create more, blah, 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 blah. So you might pay something that's pegged at $1. If you're panicking, you might be paying at $1.05 and it'll come back down to $1. And now you lose 5% because your timing was a little off. So just be aware of those subtle little things as well. And, just be on the lookout for those type of moves. So that actually was one of the questions I was just reading. What I'm going to cover really quickly and I'm assuming some of you people are new, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, is ways to get into it. So there's only a few options as far as on the US side. You can use Coinbase. I know they're going really slow. It's an account that I've had since 2014, I think. So, I'm fine with it there. I get pretty quick service, however that happened. There's also a new one that I found, which is called uphold.com. There's pretty small limits. There's a brand new account. I think it's $500. The fees were about the same on anywhere from 500 to 5,000, which is some of the limits. And I know they just added debit cards the other day, which I posted. So I think it was like if you wanted to buy $5,000, and I would not recommend buying this on a credit card unless you are literally an insane person. So don't bet with money that's number one, not yours, that you're paying 20% on, and you can't afford to lose. But like a $5,000 purchase on here was, I think, $200. 5,000, debit card purchase on here was like 191. So it's pretty close. And you relatively get it pretty quick on here, about the same time. Currently transfers out of here are very fast. I think I got it the next day. Same thing with Coinbase. Just avoid the wires from what I'm reading, because they have a big kind of thing going on with their wire issue. ACH looks like the only way to go currently as of today. So just kind of be aware of that. One of the other little things that I think I made a video on, but if you're looking to essentially spend like your Bitcoin or whatever, and you have a Coinbase account, you can link this Shift debit card to your Coinbase account. So if you actually hold it in the Coinbase wallet, you can go and actually spend it with this card, which is pretty cool. Unless you don't want to spend Bitcoin, I can understand that, but it's kind of cool to at least test out the fact that, hey, I'm actually able to spend this as an actual currency because of, the ability that they created with those. And there's all those other cards that are out there like Monaco and all that stuff, but most people have Coinbase accounts in the US, and this is just a simple option for, I think it was like $5. It might even be free to get the debit card to actually use it. So that's something to be aware of as well. One of the other little secrets, I don't know if it's a secret, it's just something that I noticed, is if you go to coinwars.com, you can actually see by profitability, I haven't really mentioned this to a lot of people, you can see by profitability, which coin is the best for miners. Now, this in turn does two things. If something's more profitable, it's going to send more hash rate to that coin, which is also in turn going to cause more transfers to go into that coin, which is also going to cause more money to go into that coin, which will push up the price. So know that as a trade, that if you're watching this, see where these things are moving up and down. So if you notice Ethereum starts to climb up to 4, 3, 2, it's very likely that people are going to start putting their money into Ethereum to transfer across networks into other exchanges to trade different coins because it's faster at the moment, sends up the price because all the money's going into Ethereum. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's kind of one of the things that I watch as far as, what's profitable for miners to mine. And where is it at? So, obviously Bitcoin Cash had a pretty nice move today because the actual Bitcoin profitability is, 12th. It's lagging because the altcoins are kind of the place to be at the moment. That's kind of one of the other things I use as far as like a reference to gauge my sentiment or my, my confidence on a specific trade as well. So interesting little thing that I haven't really shared with anybody. So hopefully you figure that out and learn that. But let me go ahead and answer a few questions. Also, if you guys have questions, feel free to post them in the, let me see, is your, can you guys see my screen now? Probably weren't even able to see me moving it around for the last 20 minutes. So that was fun. So anyways, now you can see all these. Now you guys have a reference of what I'm talking about. So I'll say it really fast. So there's the Coinbased website. There's the Shift card, which is at Shift Payments as well. Sorry, guys. I forgot to push one button, and that's fabulous. And then there's uphold.com, which I mentioned. So that's another spot to get in. There's the KuCoin website. There is the Binance website. And then the Trezor and the Ledger websites as well. So hopefully you guys were taking notes, but those were what I was just talking about. So if you guys have questions, put them in the questions box there. Sorry about that. Genius, right? So let me answer one of the questions that I was reading earlier today. Was what exactly is the difference between a token and a coin? I kind of say it as something that's separate. So a coin, and like I said, this is such a new thing, even to me. I try to learn as much as I can every day up until 2 in the morning. But a coin is essentially to me a protocol. And, I talk to some pretty smart people, and protocols in general, if they're going to actually be used, are more valuable than tokens on a platform. So, for instance, Ethereum is a protocol. So you have to own Ethereum in order to use something that's on that network to buy that specific thing. So like CryptoKitties, you need Ethereum to purchase CryptoKitties. You have to have it or you can't participate. So that's the advantage of having protocols. Whereas like the only token that I like, which is built off of that platform, which is Ethereum, is something that runs based off of that protocol. And if I'm totally wrong, somebody can school me, but I think I got the gist of that portion. So, like this specific token is something that runs off the Ethereum protocol, and you're able to buy and sell it based off of that platform. And you can find these pretty easy as far as the difference. Under market cap, you can just search coins, and then you can just search tokens, and it'll actually give you the platform that the tokens are running on. So a lot of these are Ethereum tokens. I'd say most of them. But you can kind of see where these are all Ethereum tokens on that protocol. If that makes sense to that person that answered that question. I think that's pretty important because, you may want to be like, oh, I really want to invest in this project. And some of them, yes. And just be aware that it's not an actual protocol. It's something that's built off of another platform. So the advantage of having that token of that platform is more powerful because people are usually going to have to buy Ethereum to participate in that one. So hopefully that works. Let me delete a lot of these. That my screen is stuck. So hopefully that answers that. One of the questions was seeking best trading platform for crypto. So I'm not going to recommend anything. Because my trust level is very low. But if you want to trade these, the necessary evil is that you have to sign up for one of these accounts. And I honestly think, and this is my opinion, that these new trading platforms are probably making so much money that they really wouldn't have an incentive to hurt their user base. Because if they're making millions and millions of dollars a day, why would they want to mess with that? Like why would you want to hurt your customer base if you're looking to eventually have an end game to hurt them? I don't really foresee that happening, but it's always still something that's in the back of my mind because of what happened in the past. So be very aware of that. But if you want to trade these, you have to choose one of these exchanges. And not all of the things are traded on some of these exchanges. So you're kind of either out of luck or just unlucky and late to the game that, I might be able to buy something on an exchange that I have, and then it might get listed on, one of these newer exchanges, just like this Vibe did. And I literally could make 400 or 500% overnight because I had access to an exchange that you didn't, and it was listed on there. So same kind of theory behind the whole Coinbase. Whoever they're going to list next, if it's a cheap coin, they're probably going to go up 400%. Like Bitcoin Cash, I think it traded at 9,000 like the day it got listed from like 1,600. So I need some water. So just be aware of that. ICOs. So there's a question, what's my favorite or current upcoming ICOs? I don't really participate in them. I think I did a long time ago, before it was like shunned upon. You need to be a specific accredited investor, and I don't want to deal with all that stuff. I would rather just trade the specific things that are actually on the exchanges. But there's some interesting ones that are out there. I know a lot of people do. I wouldn't even close to recommend it, but I know some people that do VPNs, or not VPNs, or maybe it's VPN. I can't think of exactly what the name of it is right now, but basically they ping location that they're in some other foreign country, and then they can participate in the ICO, get it in their Ethereum wallet, and now they have it. Whatever. If you want to go down that road, you can. But there are some interesting projects that are out there. I think the most recent one that I ran across was, I think it was like Bitdegree or something like that. It just looked interesting. I know there's already some other things that are out there. That's obviously not the right website. It's probably Bitdegree.io. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, this is an interesting thing. Okay, yeah. So, and it's just kind of an interesting thing. So if something interests me, I'll look at it to see, hey, okay, cool. Maybe they'll list it and it might be worth something. Who knows? I think everybody's here just because they care about wanting to make money at the moment, and that's the most important thing, I guess, to most people. So my approach is a little different at the moment. Trade some stuff and then keep some stuff that I don't want to look at ever again. One of the reasons I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to answer this. This is just the easiest way to do this, is the Neo wallet. So if you guys have something, whether it be a protocol or anything, so like let's say you own, and this is kind of one of the interesting ones, and it gives me a little bit of substance to talk about. So Neo is the China Ethereum, if I understand it correctly. And there's a big advantage of Neo as far as what they have. So Neo runs off of, actually, let me backtrack. So if you send a transaction with Ethereum, so if you send a token from one address to another, you're going to have to pay, it's like a gas fee. So if I send, 1,000 mana from one wallet to another, I have to pay a gas fee in order to do that on the Ethereum network. Same thing with the Neo thing, but it's separate. So there's Neo and then there's gas. And the cool thing with Neo is if you own Neo and you own it not in a wallet, because if you own it in this wallet, you only get if you sell it before a specific date, I don't think you actually get it, but you actually get constantly every 5 minutes, you get gas. So you get physical gas. And they say, based off the stuff that I've read, that gas is more important than the actual Neo itself because there's cap supplies, all that stuff. But point being, let me get back to the actual point of that, was that if you own some of this stuff and you don't want to look at it, or if you want to actually hold on to it, like if you want to hodl is the correct term, download the wallet for the actual protocol and store it offline. Don't store it on the exchange. It's kind of just a smart security step for you anyways, as well. So anything that's like this that offers that, number one, have security, a browser that's going to detect this stuff. So just be mindful of, make sure it's the correct web address. Don't click on weird random emails. Just use common sense when it comes to security stuff. Simple question: platforms and exchanges for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Coinbase, which GDAX is their trading platform. So that's the go-to spot for me because I'm US, number one. There's Gemini as well, but I heard they're really backlogged because it gives you the option to get out of US dollar. So if you ever want to go back into US dollar, which when there's a bear market, everybody's going to want to, you want to have that option. You don't want to be in US dollar tether as well. So be mindful of that. I don't know if I put my social security number on these altcoin exchanges. Somebody asked that question. Do I need to put it? Coinbase, yes, you had to. So just kind of be aware of that when that goes. So some of the things, I'll get a little bit into the trading aspect of it because I'm sure some of you guys want to know that as well. So somebody wanted me to show this. It's called Coinwords for the mining website because I covered that as well. What I kind of look for as far as anything like this. So I'll take, because if you're in these things for just the day trade, what I look for very specifically is something that over the last 7 days has a decent setup. So for instance, like let's say I'll just pull up this. It looks like one of those charts that I'm very familiar with. I'll pull it up. I'll look at it, and over the last 7 days, do I like that specific setup? Do I think if it breaks over 20, will it go higher? And that's stuff that you just learn from actually trading. I've been trading stocks for a long time, so you just learn some specific things. But as far as if I zoom out, is it something that I want to hold on for a long time, like a week, month, and not worry about it going up and down? Or do I want to be, buying something and holding on to it after a specific run up like this for a month or even, 2 weeks? Probably not. Just be in it for the trade. So be aware of like the specific time frame that your trade is going to be based off of those specific things. And that's stuff that you learn just over the course of time. And I have some videos that are still on YouTube, with all that stuff as well. But that's one of the steps that I do as far as looking at those. Everything and anything is moving right now, like absolute junk. Like I think I had a bag of this stuff, which was just absolute garbage. But people started sending volume into it all of a sudden, and I was able to get an exit from like back in June, I think it was. And the reason that it actually went up because it was bidless the entire time. Like there was no bid. Like we could see it $0, $4, $2, nothing. So there was no money that was actually going in it, but the price in US dollar was going up. But the only reason the price was going up because the value of Bitcoin was going up at the same time. So you can see the volume start to come in, and I was like, okay, I'll take my free exit when I started seeing volume come into this. And everything is moving. Just avoid buying stuff that's just absolute junk. I think of one that I saw today was like Life, and it was just all of a sudden had a ton of dollar volume. It had millions of dollars going into it. So 200,000, 300,000, all of a sudden, boom, it's up to 10, 14, 15 million. That's stuff that I pay attention to because that's the kind of stuff that I look for on OTC charts before, pre-promotion type PRs and all that stuff. So that's one of the things that I look for as far as like, okay, is there no volume? There's no volume. There's no volume. Then boom, all of a sudden $15 million gets traded. It should turn your head a little bit and go, okay, maybe I should pay attention to this, at least remember it and watch it to see if it continues to actually start trending upwards. And you got to be able to actually do it on the exchange. So I think most people don't even have these. EtherDelta, I think, got hacked recently, but they're back to normal. HitBTC had a weird thing going on with them where you couldn't see their balances for like 2 days. So just be cognizant of where you're trading this stuff and the risks that are involved with that, because you can very easily get landed on a malicious website that's got the domain hijacked, and now you're out. One thing that I want to show you is I think it's my Ether wallet. So this is like the page. So right here, you'd want to install EAL and MetaMask. MetaMask is this little guy right here. So this cool little dog here, and you set it up, and you can do a lot of your Ethereum transactions, and a lot of it's kind of being forced at the moment. Not really forced, but like if you want to trade crypto kitties and specific stuff, you actually have to have this in order to complete the transactions because they've made it pretty seamless. EAL is essentially Ethereum address lookup, so it will kind of verify, is the domain the actual domain? Am I on the right spot? And don't click on any links that lead you to here as well. So just be smart. Like, don't click on a link that's like, oh, and if you don't know, when you open an email, hover over the link before you click it. See where it actually directs you. Because if you hover over it in the bottom left, it's going to give you the actual address that you're being sent to. So if it looks shifty, don't click on it. One of the other websites, which I don't have up here, that I use is Coinbased. I think it's like $5 a month. But it helps me as far as, and I know there's a lot of other ones like Coinigy, there's a lot of these other ones. I just like this because it sends me a text alert. And I think the other ones do as well, but you can actually set up most all the exchanges, set up price alerts and all that, which makes it pretty easy to track some of the stuff that you're interested in. So if you see this specific chart and you're like, oh, I want to know if it goes over, 5 Satoshis or back over 6, I want to know when that happens. You get a text alert. It's usually delayed by about, I think I've seen 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. So it actually happens. I'll pull up the chart. I'm like, oh, that happened like 15 minutes ago. That was timely. Versus running Coinigy, which I've looked at. I'll probably use it. I just need to get new monitors because 3 is not enough. Actually, 4 is not enough for me at the moment with all this new stuff going on. But this is kind of an interesting site. I don't get anything for it. It's just something that I use. But yeah, $5 a month for unlimited alerts, 2,000 currencies. You can do it for free and you get 5. So once you run out of your 5, you got to pay $5. But I pay $5 just to use it because it's quick, it works, and it was just one of the first spots that I actually found. Let me read some of these questions here that you guys have because you guys have sent in quite a bit. I'm not going to answer any coin questions that are specific like that. I won't ever do that. Even if you ask me on Twitter, I probably won't answer it. That's actually a good question that Vincent just asked. I was looking for that earlier. My favorite charting platform, oddly enough, is Bitfinex. Why? Because they have some of the longest history of some of the bigger names. And all you do is click View Demo, and then you can actually see all the charts that are listed on there. So if you want to look at SpankChain, you can look at its new one. But like Ethereum, I just like the way that their charts look. They function well. They're fast. They have a lot more history. I hate GDAX's charts because they only go back like a month, and I want to know way more information than what happened like a month ago. So that's kind of a big, I don't know what just happened here, but this is like my favorite charting platform just to use even as free. Because they have more history on a lot of these. Also, the one that I use, which is an old one, is Bitcoin Wisdom. Really old, from like 2011, but it gives you essentially like Bitstamp and all these other ones. But I just like that they have a big history of Bitcoin from Bitstamp. And Bitstamp has, I believe, the same chart. But I just had always used this one from, back in the day, all the way back in like 2000. I think the first time I looked at Bitcoin was like right here in 2013, watching it go from 20 to 100, going, how do I buy this stuff? And then I saw it crash from 250 to $50, and I was like, oh, this stuff's crap. And then I forgot about it until it did this move. And then I remembered back in 2015, I think it was like right here, I started looking at it again, going, oh, I recognize this chart pattern. This looks like a dead bottom to me. So charting is a lot, and I don't use, people would probably be like, oh, well, why aren't you using logarithmic? It's more accurate. I am way more used to linear. It gives me a better idea of actual emotions and sentiment that's actually happening currently. So that's that. Let's see. Will there be a dedicated crypto room in IU in the future? Good question. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm sure you'll find out if there is. As of right now, no. We just talk about it whenever somebody's in there and whatever. Maybe someday. I'd have a lot of stuff that I could continue to talk about it, but I'm not going to at the moment. Sarah's asking, when I trade altcoins, do you leave them mainly on Binance? Do you go in and out of them? Or are you too concerned about them being taken? Not so much. Kind of like the reason I mentioned before is because I don't think that the only how do I explain this? There has to be a big domino. So number one, if there's something that happens to like the Bitcoin market, there has to be domino number one. I think that domino number one is going to be BitConnect. People are going to get hurt and they're going to lose money. And domino two would have to be, an exchange that was maybe shady but did go offline that maybe wasn't big. And when domino two number happens, you do not want to be there for the third domino, which would be, be very careful of any money anywhere. Because, once 1 and 2 happen, number 3 is going to be the big one. If anything does happen. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but think logically, if something happens, oh, dang, sorry for those guys. If number 2 happens, be a little bit smarter with your money and, just be aware of that. Always have an out is my thought process. But I mean, for now, I don't think that they're going to do anything malicious because they're probably making so much money they don't even know what to do with. So I have no reason to steal people's money when they're literally making that amount of money every month. So that's my thought on that at the moment. Just be aware of what's happened in the past, like I said earlier. Is it possible for me to show us a wallet that you mentioned that we could get at Amazon? I don't think I'm logged into Amazon. I tried it. But if you go to Amazon.com, all you do is you type in Trezor, and it's this guy. And you want to make sure you buy it from them. Oh my God. So when I bought it, it was $89. So obviously they're probably either running out or they're just saying, if people want these, let's charge twice as much. And don't buy them from anybody who's got them used. That would just be foolish. But yeah, it was $89 when I bought it, like a long time ago. So I answered that question. I want to get through as many questions as I can because I feel like answering questions is a little bit more of a dialogue because you guys can't talk to me. I think I showed you the mining site. So this kind of just shows you the revenue. So cost for electricity on average versus the profitability. So it's Coinwords.com. So there's that one. If the hardware wallet does not store altcoins, what would be the other option that you would recommend storing altcoins? It depends on the network that the altcoin is. So like my Ether wallet. So if it's based off of the Ethereum platform, I would store it on here because you can store it on a Trezor. And I'm not going to log into my account, but it'll give you a bit. They're over here on the right-hand side. There's like a view all, and there's almost. Actually, no, I'll take that back. There's probably 60% of the coins that are on the Ethereum network that you can store within your Ether wallet, which is also linked to Trezor. So if you see like send Ether tokens, you can click on your Trezor, and then you can connect it. You put in your little punch code, your key code, unlocks it, all that stuff. But that's probably where. Answer that question, answer that question, answer that question. What are my thoughts on the altcoin features for this year? I think, and this is purely speculation because who really knows? I don't. I think there's a lot of money that's on the sidelines that can't get in because it's so hard. I helped somebody last night. It took probably 3 hours just for them to figure out how to buy it on Uphold because they didn't on Coinbase, how to move it from US dollar into Litecoin, from Litecoin into their altcoin account, and then how to trade on, like how to move it from Litecoin to Bitcoin to trade it into the other thing. So there's like an 8-step process right now just to get money in for people, just to even touch these things. And most people aren't going to do it. So my thought process, and this is why I kind of like these guys, because it gives me an indication of where they're at. Every day they're changing, they're adding stuff. So you can literally go in here, link a debit card now. It used to just be a bank account. You can link your debit card, link your bank account, and you can buy Dash. You can buy, I think BAT is on there. You can buy any other like some foreign currencies you can buy. So they make it pretty easy. You just sign up for the account, and then you can buy whatever the coin is that you're looking at if they list it. So it's circumventing having to do 15 steps. You're going to have to pay a little fee, obviously a little bit more. But in reality, if you're buying and selling, it's probably going to equal out to about the same. So if you could directly just take your US dollar and put it in a Dash instead of having to, buy one of these coins and move it 16 times, it's just going to be a faster way for this money to get into the market. I think 2019 is going to be a very interesting year. There will be ups and downs, but I generally just overall think it's going to be on the upward move for 2019 because there's so much money that wants in, whether they know it or not, they'll eventually get in there. So that's my thought on that. I think I covered that one. Let me see here. My thoughts on Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. I'll do it for 5 seconds. Actually, I don't know. Bitcoin is kind of like until everything gets traded in pairs of Bitcoin Cash on all the exchanges, I'm not too concerned about it. I haven't looked into the big main differences about it, but my initial reaction is I don't like it. I don't think I've ever transferred anything in Bitcoin Cash because most places don't have it. So that's that. Let me clear out all these. Right. Okay. So, do you guys have any? I feel like I covered most of all the guys' questions that you have. Is there anything more specific that you want me to talk about as far as strategies, all that stuff? All I do is I look for the very specific breakout patterns that happen within what stocks look like. Obviously, you got to trade them against Bitcoin, which is going to make it look different. It's going to make the chart look different. So, I mean, if you're just trading based off of what the Bitcoin chart looks like, you have to realize if Bitcoin goes down, the altcoin goes up. It's just going to make the chart more extended. So whenever, and I still think of in terms of US dollars, just because I think I'm hardwired that way, but like VEN. So, I mean, here's the chart on VEN. It looks like it could continue to go higher. If I pull it up and look at the actual US dollar, which is what I'm going to pay attention to because I live in the US, and there's still US dollars, what does the actual chart look like versus the Bitcoin chart? Probably going to be pretty close to the same if Bitcoin's been level, but that's something that I look for. Anything that is massively overextended, it's probably smart to actually take some gains. If you don't, you're just being a little foolish in my opinion. But if you want to hold it to never sell it, that's something that I would have never thought about doing with Bitcoin. But seeing it go from where I first bought it back here to 20,000, holding it and never selling it would have been a really smart idea. But buying something up here, maybe it's not the smartest, but a lot of it comes down to mining power, all that stuff. The whole net neutrality change thing, I think, is going to affect this stuff way more than people think, because now that they're able to control the flow of the internet, anybody who's got a big mining thing, why not, as an internet service provider for that internet connection, why not know that and charge that person so much money? It's going to hurt them to actually be a miner. So there's a lot of little things that I think of that, could net neutrality hurt the fact that it's so decentralized that it would force it to become centralized miners? I think it'll happen. Maybe not, but it's an interesting topic to think about. Ethereum versus Neo. I think just like anything else in China, they knock off what works in the US and they make it their own. So Facebook, they copy it. Twitter, they copy it. Amazon, they copy it. Because I don't think that they have copyright laws, so they can get away with it if they want to. and then it becomes really successful because they've seen it work here. So NEO is essentially, from what I understand, again, I can't spend all my time researching everything, but is essentially a smart economy open network contract system for China. And I could be way wrong, and somebody could gladly inform me and correct me on that, but that's the gist that I get of that. I think I covered that. A good site to scan for volume, I just use the same thing, CoinMarketCap, and then I actually pull up where it's actually trading to see what the action looks like as far as, are there bots that are trading in lot order sizes that match. So yeah. And why did I choose, somebody asked it, I guess I'm a big proponent of it. I use it because I think it's badass, not because I want to make money off of the coin, because I actually foresee that once this information gets around to people that are actually big, very big, prominent YouTubers, that using a better piece of technology is a pain at the beginning, but what it actually does is pretty impressive. And when I saw it, I was so like, okay, cool, but you mean I gotta use a new browser? That was my first initial thought. Like, I've always used Chrome since it came out, but before that, I remembered I used Firefox for years. And this is the same guy that did Firefox and Mozilla that I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna try this. Do I like it? Is it gonna be buggy? They update it like every 2 days. I use it on my phone now. It's way faster. It cuts out every single ad that's actually on your phone, which is pretty awesome. It blocks JavaScript. It blocks all this stuff. But the cool part is they use blockchain technology, and they also use, I don't think it's Z protocols, but they monitor what you're doing in a different way that Google does. And it allows them to track what you're doing, but they don't store it anywhere. So I'm an anonymous user, but if I go to YouTube and I spend an hour watching the same guy's videos, my monthly allotment is going to go percentage based. If he accepts these tokens, it's going to go to him at the end of the month. So if I watch PewDiePie videos for 16 hours a month and he's like, 90% of my time, 90% of my monthly allotted budget goes to him directly. Doesn't go to a middleman, doesn't go to any of these people. Even any website. If you own a website, you verify yourself and then you can get paid. So it's pretty cool. Like, I really like the project. I like the technology that's behind it. I think they have an uphill battle, but the way that I'm treating a lot of this stuff, and I've mentioned it 3 or 4 times on Twitter, is that we're in a phase. All you got to do is think logically. I really think 1999. We're probably in 1999 as far as the .com bubble. It's probably another year to go. All you really need is to throw darts at a dartboard and have one of them stick. As far as anybody who doesn't have a whole lot of money, just pick like 20 projects that you'd like and be okay with the risk. As if you lose on 19 of them, but one of them ends up being the one that actually makes you a multimillionaire, that's all you really need. So take a small risk reward on projects that you actually found, you researched, you like, and go with it. That's my thought process on that anyways. But, like I said, not investment advice. It's just what I use. Matt actually asked a really good question. What indicators do I use? Price action and volume. I don't even use these because they're just on there, and I don't even think I've taken the time to turn them off. But literally just price action and candlesticks. That's it. And obviously using the mining to know if, Bitcoin's starting to rise up on this chart as far as more profitable. I'll get more cautious on holding some of the altcoins that I have, to be aware of that. So I answered most of all those questions. I think I answered that one. There's no real, and this is a good thing. Is there a good site to scan for stuff? I think I kind of covered that briefly, but the only place that I really use is this. I'm sure somebody's developing something, if not already, that's out there that I don't even know about, that scans these for volume and price action, price alerts, just like, I think it's Equity Feed. So Equity Feed does OTC stocks I think it does all stocks, but it's US based. So really all they need to do is probably write some code to include all these coins, and it'll give you 5-minute net change, percentage changes. So something like this, I'm sure there's people developing it because it's a very valuable thing to have, to be able to sell the software to somebody for $100 a month. That cuts out having to do 16 different things, and then it's all right in one spot. You got it running on your computer. You're like, oh, okay, this thing just ramped up, on $10 million in volume. Okay, so that's, but this is all US stock based. But I'm sure somebody is developing or already has that. That's out there. So that's that. Let me see if there were any questions on this list that I didn't answer. Let me cover that one actually. How do I research which crypto I should trade? I'm going to change the last word to not necessarily trade, but become interested on. Number one, if you're intelligent in a field, let's say it's marketing, or if it's buying or selling, or if it like whatever you think that you actually have a good understanding of. Like I understand online poker. I understand that a lot of these guys made a lot of money on online poker, like millions of dollars, millions of dollars a day if the site actually got used. So all I do is I take a look at these coins that are up, and I click the website. I go, okay, what is this? Do I understand what the business model is? Do I understand? Does it look like there's legitimate people behind it? I have no idea. These guys are in Lithuania. I don't know. I kind of I look at it really quick and I see, okay, what's the product? What are they creating? What do I see as the potential value of this product? So this looks like it's essentially a Craigslist on the blockchain, like a trustless Craigslist thing. Okay, cool, whatever. Do I think that it's currently maybe worth $131 million? Probably not, but that aspect doesn't matter to people right now. People don't care about the market cap. They care about this. They care about, is it under $1? Is it under 10 cents? Okay, it's not. Let's get it to $1. And that's really how simple some of these things are actually trading, with that logic of if it's under $1, I'm going to buy it because it's under $1. And you don't know. Most people don't know. People are throwing money out there like it's, like it doesn't matter because they want to get something that will go up, 10,000% in a week. Obviously the big thing happened with Ripple. I'm not a fan of it. I was before because of all the price action. I don't really want to discuss it a whole lot, but I was a fan until I actually read into what it is way more, and then I immediately kind of was like, okay, that's weird. I don't like it. Not because it made a big run. Number one, it made a big run, and it's going to pull back because that's just human nature. But everything behind it, it didn't resonate with me, and I just didn't like the fact that it wasn't what it said it was, face value. But the fact that it ran from 1,000%, that gets a lot of people very interested, especially if it's on a lot of dollar volume. Do I think it's worth that? No. Could I be wrong? Yeah. So, anyways, I don't think you guys have submitted any questions. Are there any last questions that you guys have? And hopefully I covered some of the stuff you guys wanted to hear about. I mean, I could probably talk about it for hours, but I got to eat, So, I mean, obviously be smart, especially with security on this stuff. Don't click weird emails, all that stuff. Guys answered some more, or asked some more questions. Do I look for news? Actually, that's kind of a good point. I don't necessarily look for news. I look for forward-looking events on their website. So, there's some things that are out there right now that have forward-looking events. So, case in point, Mana. I found a website. I participated in the auction because I was like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. I found this thing back at a penny or whatever it was. I was like, okay, what is this? What's Decentraland? That looks weird. And, they were basically creating a VR world that you could own the land in the VR world. And in my head, I was like, that's kind of cool. Let's risk some money on that. So obviously I had to buy the coins. I bought them at like, I think it was a penny and a half. And, when they announced that their auction was coming, the coin tenfolded in like 2 days. So forward-looking events and kind of knowing what might be happening with a specific project is pretty powerful. So if you know a hard fork is coming on specific coins, like I think I saw it, and I don't know why I didn't take it because I didn't really understand hard forks, was that Bitcoin is doing like a privacy feature, and if you actually own this Z Classic, you would get that Bitcoin privacy feature, was my understanding, like in an airdrop. So, on the 9th, I think I saw somebody post it like on the 21st, like just before Christmas. I'm like, oh, whatever, it's $5. It's not under $1. I don't want to trade it. But when I actually looked into it, and by the time I figured out, what it was over $100. And I was like, oh my God, like that's insane. I'm not going to chase it at $100 because it just was, $5 last time I looked at it. But that's kind of some of the things to look for. Follow as many people on Twitter that seem like they know what they're talking about. That also helps as well. What's my daily crypto routine? Well, I have a bucket of coins that are like pennies, nickels, dimes, and I just dump them all over myself. And that gets me ready and geared up for the day. So, you guys should try that. It might work. Let me see. I'll answer like one more question. Projects, I don't really want to talk about that. There's a few that are out there that I'm still looking at, but there's so many. It's like, what do I dedicate my 2 a.m. to? That's a good point. So Sarah asks, so the coins on the Trezor that aren't supported, where do they go? Either on the exchange, or if I really want to keep them, download the project wallet and pray to God it's secure. So yeah. Market was way, way less than it is now. That's all I'll say. Like, way less. Best time, I noticed that the question was, what's the best time to trade at? I've noticed, which is absolutely horrible for your sleeping, is that right around 10 p.m. my time, which would be midnight Eastern, the Japanese seem to start waking up and trading. And all the volume starts coming at like 10:30, and I'm ready to go to bed, and all of a sudden everything's moving around, and before I know it, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's when I think a lot of the volume goes, because I think Japan has already said it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So people are trading it in droves, and that's also why you can get a really good indication of, what's the value, what are they paying for Ethereum in, Korea, China, Japan. Like what's the price at? What are they paying for it? Just be aware of that. Obviously, I think there's exchange rate differences, whatever you can figure out. Somebody said it doesn't matter. But I can remember sometimes being the exact same price as like the US for a while. So are they getting excited? Is the price higher over there? That's something else. So anyways, it's been an hour. I hope you guys learned some stuff. Don't crush me on Twitter with questions, because that's why I did the webinar. But if you have specific ones, feel free to ask me, I guess. But I hope you guys had a good night. I was recording, so I'll put this on YouTube in like the next 2 hours. So have a good night, guys. Thanks for coming.